He sat in his luxury car on a cold evening, the kind of chill that crept through the air and reminded you of how lonely life could be, no matter how much money you had. Daniel was a millionaire, a man everyone in the city of Toronto respected, yet that night he wasn't waiting for a business deal or a high-profile meeting. He was waiting for someone far less noticed by the world, a woman who had unknowingly captured his heart. Her name was Emily, a waitress at a small downtown diner. She wasn't the kind of woman people usually wrote stories about. She worked long shifts, carried trays heavier than her own shoulders, and smiled at customers even when her feet ached and her back screamed with pain. But Daniel had noticed her. Not just her beauty, though she had that quiet glow in her eyes that seemed brighter than the city lights, but her kindness. She always slipped a free coffee to the homeless man who came in shivering, or patiently listened to an elderly couple repeat the same stories night after night. She had something money could never buy, human warmth. That night, Daniel sat outside in the car, checking his watch. 5 minutes passed, then 10, then 40. Most men in his position would have given up long before, but Daniel couldn't. He wasn't used to waiting for anything, deals, meetings, or people. But for her, he wanted to wait. The truth was, he was scared. What if she said no? What if she laughed at him? A millionaire asking a waitress to dinner wasn't exactly the kind of fairy tale she'd believe. Inside, Emily wiped down the counter, her body exhausted but her spirit unwilling to give up. She had been taking extra shifts to pay for her younger brother's college tuition. She never told anyone how hard life was, never complained, but deep down she carried a weight that no one saw. She had always believed men like Daniel didn't exist in her world, men who looked past appearances and saw the soul. When she finally stepped outside into the crisp night air, she noticed the sleek car still parked by the diner. She thought the man inside was just another customer waiting for someone. But then the window rolled down, and Daniel stepped out. For a moment, she froze. He wasn't dressed like the usual people who came into the diner. His presence had an aura of quiet power, yet his eyes held something surprisingly vulnerable. "I've been waiting for you," he said softly, his voice gentle, not demanding. She blinked in surprise. "For me?" "Yes," he said, "just to ask if you would have dinner with me." Her heart skipped. It wasn't the kind of line she expected. Most men who came into the diner either ignored her or tried to charm her with arrogance. But this man, he waited. He respected her time. That alone touched her more than any compliment could. "I don't think I'm the kind of woman you're used to," she whispered, her voice unsure. Daniel smiled faintly. "Maybe you're exactly the kind I need. You see people for who they are, not what they have. And I don't want to eat another expensive meal alone." The honesty in his words melted the wall she had built around her heart. She thought of all the years she had pushed love aside because life had been too hard. She thought of the sacrifices she made for her brother, the endless nights she came home to an empty apartment. And here stood a man who wasn't offering her riches or promises, but something simple, something real, his time. She finally nodded, her lips curving into a shy smile. "All right, dinner." They went to a small restaurant that wasn't glamorous, but it was quiet and warm. For the first time in a long time, Emily felt seen, truly seen. And Daniel, the man who had everything, realized he had been missing the one thing money couldn't buy: connection. Their conversation lasted hours, and though their lives were worlds apart, something clicked. It wasn't about wealth or status. It was about two souls who had been searching for someone to understand them. By the time the night ended, Daniel walked her back to her apartment. He didn't ask for promises. He didn't rush. He just looked at her with quiet hope. And as she turned to go inside, Emily whispered, "Thank you for waiting." That night, both of them realized something important. Love isn't found in the grand gestures or the perfect timing. Sometimes it's found in the patience of a man willing to wait, and in the courage of a woman willing to believe she deserves more than struggle. And as the city lights flickered across Toronto, a millionaire and a waitress began a story not built on wealth or fairy tales, but on something stronger: human kindness, patience, and the belief that every heart, no matter how tired, deserves to be chosen. Would you like me to extend this story further so it feels closer to a natural 4-minute narration pace, with more emotional dialogue between them?